This section of trail, I think, is really the most historic and iconic of the entire Iditarod Trail. It is truly middle of nowhere, Alaska. Iditarod day 5, I think. Now we're getting far enough into this race that what day we actually get there could change. Weather could have easily a 24-hour difference on our finishing times. I think this race could be under 7.5 days, or it could still be over 8.5 days. So weather starts to play a big factor. The pacing is gonna be different in this race, with it being a little bit shorter than normal years. So I'm gonna call it day 5. Just be advised that it may not apply to day 5. Anyway, so I think this day on the Iditarod, what you're gonna be seeing is teams traveling, starting the day, 12:01 a.m., they're gonna be sitting somewhere outside of Ophir, having already come from McGrath, through Ophir, started on the trek towards Iditarod. This is a long, desolate stretch of race. It's about 76 miles from Ophir out to Iditarod, a run that most teams will break up into 2 runs or more. You have to have completed your mandatory 24 before you can leave Iditarod. You can drop a dog if you want to, you can camp there if you want to. This middle section of the race is gonna be important to settle your team into a long travel kind of feeling. You're gonna see a little more sustainable rest, more sustainable ratio between run and rest, because at the end of this middle third, we don't get another 24-hour break. So we have to be more in sustainable mode, but I'll touch on that a little bit more in tomorrow's video. This section of trail, I think, is really the most historic and iconic of the entire Iditarod Trail. We're going to the historic ghost town of Iditarod. This is the most remote and just kind of untouched area of the entire Iditarod Trail, in my opinion. It is truly middle of nowhere, Alaska. Another thing that I think may be interesting for some mushers, when we get to do our turnaround and now we're heading back over all the same trail we just did, not only do we go back over all the same trail, which means we as mushers know what to expect. That's really unheard of in the Iditarod, to actually know what the trail is like ahead of you. Yeah, it may have been 24 hours ago and the trail may have changed within that 24 hours, but that's a lot of information. It's going to inform mushers' decisions more than we've ever seen it inform their decisions before, by simply knowing that this is absolutely going to be a good trail or absolutely not going to be a good trail, whatever it may be. The other thing is that we're now going to be passing teams head on. I think that first wave of mushers, all this passing is going to happen in probably a 12 to 24 hour period. Let's just hypothetically say that you're the first musher to do that loop. It's going to be really hard to get your dog team to settle down, where every few minutes, not necessarily every few minutes, but spontaneous intervals, there's gonna be an exciting dog team up ahead and they're gonna go charging down the trail and then they're gonna go flying past them and they're gonna bark at each other. And then as a musher, you gotta get them to calm down, settle down, go back to a reasonable pace, and it's probably gonna be just about when you're like, oh, thank goodness, they're finally traveling at the right speed, I can let off the brake, you're gonna see another dog team. It's not a huge deal, it's just going to be a factor, and it's better to be aware of that and know about it going into it, and make sure that your dog team is very good at passing other teams head on. And that is a concern, is while we can train our teams, and my team might be great at passing head on, I can't train other people's teams. If you come to another team and their dogs just are simply not good at passing, and maybe their lead dogs stop and the whole team bunches up into a ball and they occupy the entire space that is the trail, it doesn't really matter how good your team is at passing, it's still gonna be a pain to get around them. So I think that's gonna be kind of the unique aspect of this day on the Iditarod. All this new and kind of unique aspects happening, incidentally, in the ghost town of Iditarod, the namesake for the race we're running, in this incredibly historic location that was the purpose of the Iditarod Trail, was to access and to reach this now ghost town of Iditarod while they were out there mining gold. So it's just interesting, kind of the conflict or contrast between the historic nature of where we are and all the unique and different and new happening in this place, at least as far as the Iditarod race is concerned.